Hello everyone and welcome back to the Elegant Edit. Today's video is one that I have had planned for a very long time. Don't ask me why, I am just now getting around to it. I don't know. I've had this written out like on my phone in my notes app for months now, and I think today is finally the day I want to film it because I was looking back and I was like, oh my gosh, I really need to film that video. And so I finalized all of my notes about it. I think I can talk about it without looking down at my laptop too much at my notes, but it's one that I've been very excited about filming because I think it's going to be very helpful to a lot of people. I've been kind of racking my brain on what to call this video because overall I'm sharing my best shopping tips. Basically, it's how to get the most out of your shopping experience, you know, saving money, which is one of the big parts of this video, buying timeless classic pieces and avoiding trends, and spending your money confidently. This video is really meant for everyone, but especially for those of you who maybe feel like you've been spending a little too much money, buying too many trends, and you just want to be better with your money, be more confident in your spending, and you want to buy pieces that you're actually going to wear, pieces that you love, and that are going to last you a long time. I think a lot of people struggle with this in the world today, partly because of fast fashion, because of trends, because of influencers who tell you you need to buy the newest item. None of that is true. You do not need to constantly be shopping. Now, I am someone who has always loved to shop. As a little girl, you know, that was one of my favorite things to do with my mom. And yeah, as I've gotten older, that habit and that love for shopping has continued. But over the past couple of years, I have been more aware of my spending. And especially once I started earning my own money, I was like, I was like, I probably don't want to spend all of this right now. So you're more careful with it, but it's still really challenging sometimes. So this video, like I said, is for everyone, but I'm going to be sharing some of my best tips on how to get the most out of your shopping. And I think we should just dive in because I have a lot to say on this topic. So the way that this video is going to be set up is I have a few things I want to start out by saying. Then I'm going to talk about both in-person shopping and online shopping, and then I'm going to finish off with a few kind of random tips that I didn't know where to put in this video. So let's get into it. Now, before you even step out the door to go shopping, the first thing I want you to do, again, whether it's in person or online, the first thing I want you to do is to go in with a plan. I think one of the worst things you could do is probably go clothes shopping when you don't really know what you want, you don't know what you need, you're just kind of walking around kind of mindlessly and looking at things that you don't really need. You end up spending money and buying things that you don't need either. So go in with a plan. I think it's important to make maybe a list of some of the pieces, I'd say classic staples that you need in your wardrobe that you're lacking right now. For example, for me, something I have not found yet is a really high quality white t-shirt. It's so simple, right? And it's not the most fun thing to shop for, which is why I think a lot of people probably ignore the fact that they need it and they just shop for other things that they don't really need. So the first thing is to think about timeless, classic basics that are high quality. So keep note of those things that you really need in your wardrobe first before you go off buying other fun and exciting pieces. Another thing you can do before you go shopping is to create a vision board or a Pinterest board of your current style. So I know a lot of people create vision boards and what they put on that board is what they want kind of their future self to look like, what they want their future life to look like. But in this case, what I want you to do is choose photos on Pinterest or on Google, wherever you're finding them, that best represent your style right now. Because I think it's important to, yes, like have goals and dreams of what you want your future self to look like in the future and what you want your future fashion sense to be like, but you also need to be realistic of what you can afford right now, what you like to wear right now, what's comfortable for you, what your lifestyle looks like, what your work looks like, your free time, all of that. You need to be realistic about it as well, because if not, you're going to be buying pieces that maybe right now you don't really wear blazers, but you see your future self as some kind of professional who's always wearing really nice and crisp blazers. But if you're just at home all the time or your job has a uniform, when are you really going to be wearing those blazers? So you have to think about what you like to wear in this present moment. And another thing, I always talk about it, I have a list of every single clothing item that I own. Not my more casual like leggings or sweatpants that I would wear on a like lounge day at home, but my nicer pieces. I have a list of every single clothing item I own. And I like to update when I last wore it and where it is right now. I also have things like what season is it meant for and that kind of thing, because it helps me to keep track of everything I own and if I'm actually wearing the things that I'm buying. So I highly recommend that you do that. I just do it on like an Excel sheet, and it's been really, really helpful for me. And if I notice that something's gone unworn, I'll try to wear it. Or if something just isn't standing out to me and I just don't wear it, I will do a clear out and just get rid of things that I don't wear anymore. Shopping does not have to be a stressful or confusing experience. Again, if you know your personal style, that is the first thing. The first and most important thing you have to do is when you know your style, you know what you need. So before anything else, know your personal style, create vision boards, and create a list of everything you own. Now we're going to get into in-person shopping. First and foremost, when you're shopping in person, one thing that might sound like a weird tip, but I promise it's helpful, you don't need to go into every single store. Let's say you're going to the mall or like an outlet or somewhere where there are lots of different shops. You don't need to go into every single store, especially if it's not your style or you know you can't afford it or you know the quality is not so great. Just focus on places that you know you enjoy shopping at and you know the quality of the clothing is decent. I think that the quality, or having nice quality clothing, does not have to be an expensive thing either. There are ways to find really beautiful, high quality pieces without breaking the bank. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is trying clothes on in the dressing room in person. Now, I know a lot of people do not enjoy doing this, and I understand why. There are many reasons why trying things on in person is not fun, but I promise you it is important and it is needed. So I think that with online shopping, obviously this rule is not as relevant. You can try things on at home in the comfort of your own home. But if you're shopping in person, you won't have to deal with any returns if you just know in that moment if it's right for you or not. I like to say that just trying something on is not enough to know that you want it and that it's comfortable and that it's meant for you. Honestly, you have to do some weird things in the dressing room. You have to, and be careful, obviously, you don't want to rip anything or stretch the clothing or damage anything that you haven't purchased. So I like to carefully lower down almost into a squat. I like to bend over, lift my arms above my head, kind of do weird movements like this to make sure things fit you properly, because let's be realistic, you're not sitting still looking in a mirror all day, every day. You're moving around, you're doing different things. And so if you're just standing there in the dressing room, you know, standing still, you're not really going to know if that clothing item fits you properly. You're going to end up bringing it home, cutting the tag because it fits you, or at least you think it does, and then you wear it out for the first time and you're really uncomfortable. That is not the right way to try clothes on. You have to kind of move around, and it's going to look weird, but it's worth it. I can't tell you how many times I have done exactly that, where again, I cut the tag, I wear it once, and I realize it's really not for me. And the sad thing about that is it just ends up in the back of your wardrobe, not being worn. So when you buy things, they do need to fit you well, to put it simply. And you could buy the most stunning, expensive piece of clothing out there, but again, if it's not a perfect and comfortable fit, you are simply not going to wear it, and it's not worth it. Now, if you have the money and you want to get something tailored, I think that's an amazing thing to do. But again, realistically, this is not something most people can afford to do all the time. If you're constantly buying something just because you love it and it's not the right size and you're just going to get it tailored, that's not really the best way of doing things. A tailored fit is really amazing, and again, there's nothing quite like that. It'll fit you perfectly, but it's not something a lot of people can afford to do or justify doing. And so if you don't really have the money to spend on tailoring, you probably should just stick to pieces that, again, are a near perfect fit at least. Now, this is really difficult to talk about because everyone's body type is so different, and unfortunately, a lot of clothing brands do not include every type of body type, and clothing is made with, I think, again, a very specific body type in mind, so it can leave a lot of people feeling discouraged and not having fun when they shop because they're so concerned about, is this going to fit my body type, and that doesn't look right on my body. I think one of the most important things you can do in these situations is to maybe follow people online who have a similar body type to you, because maybe then you can get inspired by places that they shop and you can ask them for recommendations. And if that doesn't work for you, or you're not big into social media, or that kind of thing is maybe triggering to you, then if you're a bit more outgoing, you could always ask people that you see out in public. You can ask them where they like to shop, compliment them on their outfit, and again, maybe they can recommend something for you. And if all else fails, if you are a super creative person, you might even be able to learn to make your own clothing. Again, that is maybe a little challenging for some people. It's not for everyone, but definitely try to surround yourself with, you know, in this specific situation, people who look like you, because maybe then you can have some good recommendations. Also, something you want to keep in mind is that unfortunately, sizing is different everywhere you go. It's never consistent, and that can be really challenging and really frustrating for a lot of people, and I totally get that, but don't let it knock your confidence. You know, if you're a size 6 in jeans in one place, you may not be in another, and that's okay. I saw a video of a girl who was trying on the same size jeans from different shops, and they all fit her completely differently. Some were too big, some were too small. And again, I get why that's frustrating, but don't let it knock your confidence. I always recommend bringing a few different sizes into the dressing room, because again, it's better to just have the options, and if one doesn't fit you, there's going to be something out there that, again, is maybe a near perfect fit, and don't let it knock your confidence. I promise most of the time, it has nothing to do with you or your body. It's just the way the clothing is made, unfortunately. The same goes for trying on bras and undergarments. I know, again, this is not always fun to shop for, but so many women are probably wearing the wrong size bra. And I think it's important to get yourself measured so that you can be as comfortable as you possibly can and you're wearing the correct size for you. You want to be able to move around in it. Again, when it comes to bras, this might sound weird, but I remember a few years back when I went bra shopping, I was getting measured, and when I tried one on in the dressing room, the lady told me to bend over and like shake a little bit, and I know that sounds a little awkward, but it helps to make sure nothing's going to fall out. And again, you want to be comfortable in the things that you wear, and especially if you're spending good money on it, you want to make sure it fits you properly. The same is true, as I said, with jeans and button-down tops. I love a good button-down top, but I do notice some issues with those. If you're slightly bigger in the chest area, then sometimes button-down tops will start, like between the buttons, it'll gap. You'll have kind of this gapping, and that doesn't really look very polished and put together. That means that the top is too small for you. You will need to size up, and that's okay. You cannot let that affect your confidence. It doesn't mean that you've gotten bigger. It just simply means that you need a bigger size, and you can't let that affect you. Again, with dresses, things like that as well. There are so many different styles of dresses out there. If a super tight bodycon dress is not for you, it's not for a lot of people. A lot of people simply don't like that look, and that's okay. There are plenty of different sizes, but when it comes to dresses, again, you want to be comfortable. You want to make sure they're not too short for you as well, or you're going to feel uncomfortable moving around or doing anything. Make sure they're not too tight, make sure you can breathe, and most of all, that you feel confident. And don't forget that for us women, our bodies not only change throughout the month, but throughout the day. And this is something that you need to take into account when you're shopping. It's not always easy to tell how things are going to fit you, because tomorrow they might fit you a little bit differently, and that is okay. One big example of this is obviously when it's that time of the month, you feel a bit bloated, and because of this, things are going to look a little bit different on your body, and that's okay. I think that, you know, during that time, you could also be struggling with things like acne and mood swings, and you just look a little bit different. And again, this is completely normal and okay, but it's something you want to keep in mind when you're shopping. And, you know, that shouldn't stop you from shopping and going out and having fun, but it's just something to be aware of. And let's be real, dressing room lighting is never flattering. I don't know what it is, but most of the time, I can't tell you how many times I've gone into a place, especially if I'm not wearing makeup, and I'm like, is that really what I look like? And again, it knocks your confidence a little bit, but don't let it. You really cannot let these things affect you in that way, because you're never, like, when you wear that item out into the world, you're not going to be in that same lighting. It's just really harsh and not so flattering lighting in the dressing room. In order to create a wardrobe that you're happy with and proud of, your clothing needs to fit you properly. And I won't go on about this too much longer, but I do want to say that if you are someone like me who loves classic and timeless fashion, you probably want to steer away from things that are really oversized and really small and tight-fitting, because both of those things are quite trendy and they're not the most flattering oftentimes for most body types either. I always recommend going for just a classic fit for everything, and I like to give the example with jeans is going for a mid-wash blue pair that are slim or straight leg, because that is always going to be in style. I personally prefer a high waist. I know some people like mid-rise or low-rise, but I personally think if anything you can go for mid-rise. But again, different styles look good on different body types, but one thing that will always be true is a slim or straight leg pair will never do you wrong. Moving on, salespeople can be really friendly and sometimes they can be genuine. I'm not saying that they're fake or anything like that, but just remember it is their job to make a sale. So they may try to persuade you into buying a piece of clothing. They may compliment you, and it's really nice. It feels really great. It makes you feel excited about the piece of clothing, but don't let someone else's opinion make a decision for you. You know your budget, you know your body, your likes and dislikes more than that person does. Don't let them persuade you into buying something you know you either can't afford or you just know it's not right for you. Trust your judgment over theirs, even if it is nice to be complimented. Sometimes it can be really fun to go shopping with friends or family members or whoever, but another thing that can happen is, again, their opinions can sometimes outweigh yours, if that makes sense, and sometimes, again, they can persuade you to buy things, especially people who maybe aren't the best with their money. I'm not saying you can't be friends with them or you can't hang out with them, but maybe shopping is not the time and place, because again, it might influence you to spend your money and kind of go crazy. You know, I can understand wanting someone else's opinion if you're going shopping with someone and you're not quite sure. It's good to ask people what they think, as long as they're kind about it and honest with you. But I think something interesting that happens, this is an example for me. If I have an item of clothing or two items of clothing and one is blue, one is pink, let's just say, sometimes asking for someone's opinion can help you make a decision. And this is, again, a weird example, but it works for me. So if I show someone a blue top and a pink top and I ask them for their opinion, if I'm disappointed by their answer, then I've made up my mind. So for example, again, blue top, a pink top. If I don't know which one I want, but I love them both, and I ask someone and they say, oh, I actually like the blue more, and I'm disappointed by that answer, then I'll go for the pink. And that happens to me a lot. Sometimes I choose the opposite to what that person says, and it's not to be rebellious or to be mean about it. Sometimes it just helps me to make up my own mind, and it's kind of strange, but that works for me. But if that doesn't work for you, it's okay to go shopping alone. That's not a bad thing. It's actually something that's, you know, you could be very confident in doing that, and that's really nice. It's also just time on your own, which is important as well. So don't be afraid to go shopping alone. And again, if you're going with other people, maybe don't take their opinions too much to heart. It's good to hear other people's opinions, but know who they are and know their intentions as well. If you're standing in the dressing room and you're unsure about something, and you really cannot decide if you want to buy it, if it looks good on you, if it's too expensive for you or not, if it'll last, the best thing you can probably do is leave it behind. I know it's sad, but when I have an example of this as well. I went into an LK Bennett store one time and I fell in love with this dress. It was on sale, but it was still very expensive, and it fit me beautifully. It was so gorgeous, but it was definitely the kind of dress that was more for an event. And I'm just an average kind of person. I don't have fancy events to go to every day of my life. So I was standing there really unsure about what to do. And I decided to ask the people working there if I could, you know, if they could put it on hold for like an hour and I would come back. And after thinking about it for that time, I decided not to go for it. So again, if you're feeling really stuck and unsure, or if you really think it's too much money for you, it is best to just say no, leave it behind. It's not worth it. And another thing is that you truly have to love the item that you're considering purchasing. I've left the line sometimes as I was just about to pay for an item because I realized, what am I doing? Like, this is not for me, I don't want this, why am I actually about to buy it? I have had that happen a couple times, and I actually feel really good about myself when I do that, because I'm like, you know, I finally realize, I'm like, okay, what is the real reason I'm purchasing this? If you're shopping in person and you see something you like, but you're not too sure about the price, if you want to spend the money, something that my husband and I always do is we will take a picture of the item and the tag, and you can either do it right then and there or you can wait till you get home, but you can Google the item, and a lot of the time, I'm not saying it happens all the time, but a lot of the time you can find that item a lot cheaper online, or you'll be able to find online discounts that you can't get in store. So it's definitely worth getting a picture and looking online. Sometimes when I see the original price of an item and then I see it crossed out and I see the new sale or clearance price, sometimes you have to ask yourself, well, if they're putting it on sale at this price, was it ever really worth the original price in the first place? It's a question that you do need to ask yourself, and I actually got this advice from someone named Paige on TikTok. I think I've talked about her page before, but her username is Overcoming Overspending, and she shares so many great tips and advice on this exact topic, on saving money, spending wisely. I highly recommend you follow her if you have TikTok. But basically I learned that from her, and she says to ask yourself, you know, if you see an item on sale or clearance that you really like, ask yourself if you would have paid full price for that item, and if not, it may not be worth buying it on sale either. And my last piece of advice for in-person shopping is to wear the right undergarments. And again, this might sound strange, but I have a certain bra that I wear all the time, and it's nude and it's seamless and it's boring and simple. And the reason I have it is because it goes with absolutely everything, no matter what you're wearing. And so the same goes for underwear as well, because you want something nude and seamless. It goes with absolutely everything. You really can't go wrong. And this helps when you're trying things on in person as well, because if you're wearing nude undergarments that are seamless, you could try on anything, and again, it'll look good. It'll look how you want it to look. And also, if you're trying on something that's white or a little bit sheer, again, you'll know exactly how it's going to look when you're wearing it out in the world. And now we are moving on to online shopping. So we often end up signing up for lots of newsletters and some email subscriptions to the shops that we love. And while this can be a great thing, because, you know, you often get sign-up codes and discounts through that, especially when you first sign up, other than those first couple emails that give you a discount code, all those emails is just a constant reminder to shop with that company and that brand. And they use all these marketing tactics that, again, encourage you and persuade you to purchase an item from them. And again, it's great when you get these discounts and emails about sales upcoming, and those can be really helpful, but most of the time it's best to either unsubscribe or just ignore the emails altogether. I personally, when I'm looking through my emails on my phone, I just like swipe to the left, and I think it's to the left, and just like click read on all of them. Sometimes I just don't even bother unless there is some kind of big discount or sale going on. Okay, I'm gonna try to explain this next one as best as I can, because I was like reading it to myself and I was like, that just sounded really confusing. So hopefully I can make this make sense. But another tip I have in relation to online shopping is that you might see that a company online is doing some kind of deal where if you spend a certain amount, you'll get free shipping. Let's say you want something that is $40, and to get to free shipping, you need to spend $50. So you add that $40 item to your cart, and then you realize, oh, I have to spend $10 more to get free shipping. Then you find yourself scrolling on the website trying to find something worth $10, but nothing looks good. You don't want to spend $10 just to spend $10 and get free shipping. And now you have to, again, browse for something you don't even want in the first place. And something I've realized is, and I have an example as well, but basically, this is just a way to get you to spend more money. You probably would have spent that money on shipping anyway, and my example is that I was recently shopping on the website Fable England, and I love them, they have great products, but I realized something. Let's say, again, you wanted something that was $40. You add it to your cart, and then you realize that you need $10 more for, again, free shipping. But if you ignore that for a minute, if you ignore that whole, oh, spend $10 more and get free shipping, just add the item you want to your cart, click all the way through, and before you pay for it, don't actually pay for it, like don't put your card information in. Just see how much shipping would be in the first place. Because sometimes we don't even do that. Sometimes we forget to look at how much shipping is. Maybe it's not even that much. So let's say shipping is $3. Would you rather spend 40 plus 3 for shipping, or would you rather spend 40 plus 10 to get free shipping? Does that really make sense? Not really. You're spending more in the end. So look at how much shipping is before you add random items to your cart that you don't even want in the first place. Sometimes when you sign up to a newsletter for one of your favorite brands, you may get money off of your first purchase, which again is a big help. We love saving money over here. However, the catch is that a lot of the time you can only use that offer on a full priced item. And as a girly who loves sales, I'm sorry, but that doesn't always help me. It doesn't help a lot of people who don't want to spend full price on something. So make sure that when you get these coupons, whether it's in person or online, always read the terms and conditions so you're not disappointed. Once again, with these kinds of emails, when you get a code, sometimes, this doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes you will notice that you put in the code or you click through on the email and you'll start to see a timer pop up at the top of the screen and it says you have an hour to use this code before it's gone. Never fall for that, because even though yes, it would be great to use that code, all that's doing is rushing you into deciding if you want to make a purchase or not. And it's never a good idea. If you're in a rush, whether it's in person or online, don't spend money. If you're in a rush and you're shopping, it's never going to end well. All it's doing, again, is rushing you into making a decision. Do it when you have the time. And if that code disappears, fine, it was not meant to be. Never rush a shopping experience. Another way that these companies can sometimes trick you, if you will, into making a purchase is by saying, oh, there's only a few left in your size. And while sometimes that might be true, again, it's just pressuring you to make a decision quickly. That is never good. As I said, it's just not a good idea. And sometimes, again, it's just maybe not meant to be. But if you really wanted the item and then you find out that, oh, I waited a few days and it's gone now, I really wanted it, you could try, again, some places have an option where you can put in your email and they can notify you if it comes back in stock. At least you can do that. But I'd rather that than, again, spend money in a hurry. If you're really considering purchasing something, try to leave it in your cart for a couple days, or try and forget it for a day or two. If you're still really considering that item and really thinking about it in days to come, maybe then consider purchasing it. But if you've forgotten about it, or after a while you realize, maybe I don't need that item, I don't love it as much as I thought, then it wasn't meant to be. But it's always good to, again, be patient and leave things in your cart for a minute or two. And again, most of the time I do think you'll realize it's a want and not a need. Another tip I have is to know your measurements. This has come in handy, especially for online shopping for me. When you're in person, again, you can try on a few different sizes and you'll know what fits you and what doesn't. But when you're online shopping, it can be a risk sometimes because there are times where returns cost money and it's such a hassle and you really don't want to deal with it. So why not try your best to get the most accurate size possible? And one thing I always like to do is look at the size guide on any website where I'm buying clothing or shoes or anything like that. I always look at the size guide and I take my measurements. I always have my bust, my waist, and my hips, my measurements for those, in my notes on my phone. That way I can reference it anytime I need to and I can get the most accurate size possible. One of my biggest tips of all, and it's one that my husband and I, again, we use this all the time and we highly recommend it. We recommend downloading Honey, which is a free browser extension. And I think there is another one, I think it's called Karma. I could be wrong. I think that one's free and I think it does the same exact thing, but we use Honey. And what it is again, it's a free browser extension that you can download, and basically on any website where you're purchasing something, it doesn't even have to be clothing. It's basically a one-touch thing where it will apply any and all codes that it can find on the whole internet that relates to the brand that you're purchasing and the item you're purchasing. So it applies any and all codes it can find. And I'm not saying it works every time, but a lot of the time it will find you some kind of code that works on what you're purchasing, and it will lower the price, sometimes a lot depending on the website. It is really amazing. Again, we use this all the time, and you know what? Again, it doesn't always work. Sometimes it can't find any code for you, and that's okay. You can decide, it's up to you at that point, whether it's worth buying or not. But honey has been so great for us. You can also use something, I don't know if this is a UK thing, I only discovered it when I came to the UK through my husband, but he loves using voucher codes, so now I do as well. And voucher codes is better for being able to see exactly what deals are out there. It shows you a list of deals and codes that you might be able to use, and you can test them yourself rather than Honey kind of applies them automatically. But you test them out, you see what works for the item that you're purchasing, and it might or might not give you some kind of code that'll work. And also, sometimes with voucher codes, it will give you a free voucher if you purchase something using one of their codes, which is really awesome. We have gotten like £5 Amazon gift cards from it before, so it is definitely worth doing. And again, like I always say this, but even if I had all the money in the world and I were super, super rich, like even if you could spend full price on an item, why would you? If you can get it cheaper, like that's awesome. I think that's great. So no matter how much money, like if I were to become super rich one day, I would still love a good deal. I would still see what's up with that sale rack. My last tip for online shopping is to avoid using the buy now, pay later services such as Klarna. This relates to advice about, you know, not being able to afford something twice. So if you can't afford it twice, don't buy it. It's that kind of thing. Basically, this is just owing money. Klarna is one of those websites where you basically, you pay it off, right? So it kind of leaves you in debt. So even if you don't have the money, it's almost like, I think you pay a certain amount and then you just pay the rest over time. And all it's doing is you're owing money. You're kind of putting yourself in debt over a dress or a top or just something, and it's not worth it. Wouldn't you rather feel so much more confident in your spending knowing that I can comfortably afford this item that I'm considering rather than having to worry about, you know, you get the instant gratification of owning the item immediately, but then you have to worry about paying it off, and that is just not fun. That is a stressful shopping experience if you ask me. And now I just want to share some last few tips with you that just relate to shopping in general. My first one is try to avoid shopping when you're in a bad mood. Whether you're sad, you're angry, you're frustrated, you're confused, any negative emotion, avoid shopping because, again, chances are you're just buying something to make yourself feel better in that moment so you can have, again, the instant gratification, but you're gonna crash after that. You are eventually gonna crash. It's gonna, you know, you're gonna be on a high for a moment because you purchased something, but you will crash. And again, Paige on TikTok talks about this. And again, she kind of described it really well in one video, and I'll see if I can try and explain it the same way she did. But basically, when you are in a bad mood, oh, I hope I can explain it right. When you're in a bad mood and you go shopping, you start here, right? You're in a low mood. You get the high from purchasing something, but when you get home with that item, you just crash back down again. Whereas if you're shopping and you're in a really great mood and you're really happy and excited, you purchase something and it lifts you up even higher because you made a purchase, but then you bring it home and you feel even better because you're excited about this purchase. You made a good purchase, you thought it through, you were happy in the first place. So I know you can't always avoid what kind of mood you're in. Sometimes things are upsetting you. That's normal, that's life. But maybe avoid shopping and spending money in those moments unless you seriously have to, but most of the time I think you can avoid it in those moments. There are probably better things you could be doing when you're in a bad mood rather than shopping. To add on to that, try not to shop when you are just waking up or you're going to bed, because again, when you're tired or you're not completely awake yet, you're kind of in this other state of mind and you might end up regretting those purchases as well. Sometimes when we see something on sale from a really high quality brand or even a designer brand, it can be very tempting to purchase it because you think, well, this is a designer high-end brand and it's on sale. Of course, that's a great deal. I'm going to buy it. I encourage you to pause in those moments because sometimes you have to ask yourself, am I just buying this because it's on sale, or do I actually like this item? Because sometimes I've noticed I do that. I've never purchased anything in those moments, but there are times where there's an amazing deal or a sale on for, again, a really high quality brand. And I pick up an item thinking I might buy it, I might try it on, but as I'm walking around the store, I'm like, I don't even think I actually like this item. I think it's just the fact that it's on sale and I can afford it. So always make sure to kind of, again, remind yourself of your personal style, of your likes and your dislikes, and you have to really consider, do I actually like this, or is it just a really great price? You do not want to buy it in that case. Really consider things that you're buying when they're on sale, because again, is it worth it? Would you have paid full price? Like I said, it's important to ask yourself these questions. This is a tip that actually my mom taught me from a very young age. Again, someone else who also really loved a good bargain, a good sale, and a good deal growing up. She taught me the same. So this one's important for all of you who feel like you need to buy something as soon as it comes out. So let's say your favorite clothing store came out with their spring season collection. You go and you see things that you absolutely love, but of course when something is new season or new stock, it's going to be the most expensive because it's brand new. There's rarely like new season sales, right? It's always kind of when they've been around a while that things will be on sale after that. I encourage you to wait. I know it's hard, but sometimes you have to be patient, because I promise you, next season, those things are most likely going to be on sale and they're going to be a lot cheaper, and it's worth buying it then most of the time rather than buying it as soon as it hits the shelves. Sometimes it's okay to buy something that's brand new and it's new season. That's exciting, and once in a while I can understand doing it. But for example, something that's new in springtime and summer is going to be on sale by the time fall and winter hits, because nobody wants to buy spring and summer clothes when it's cold out, right? But that's the best time to do it, because that's when it's going to be at its cheapest. So again, it requires patience, and you may not always get to have that new season item, but it will be worth it when you're saving lots of money. Next tip is to shop your wardrobe. I think lots more people are talking about this lately, which I think is amazing because it is such a great piece of advice. Sometimes you forget what you own. And again, if you don't have a list of clothing items, or you have things stuffed in your closet and in your drawers because you have so much, you forget what you own. Trust me, I'm guilty of this as well. And that's why for me, my list is important. But I think that if you have an event coming up or something important that you kind of feel tempted to buy something new for, I encourage you to try things on that you already own. Try things on in different combinations. Get experimental, have fun with it, and just try things on. Just because you've gotten photos in an outfit before as well, it doesn't mean that you can never wear it again. I think outfit repeating is a bold move, and it's a good move. So I encourage that, and I actually need to take that advice myself. Next up is pay attention to fabrics. So this is something that I didn't always do, especially when I was younger, because I just didn't care. But as you get older, and again, you're spending your own money, you really want to make sure that the quality of the clothing that you're buying is high quality, and that it's something that's going to be comfortable. And there are different things that are important to different people, like sustainability and different things like that. Not everyone cares about that, and you know, that's up to you. But I think it's important to pay attention to fabrics when you're shopping. Be on the lookout for labels. So most of the time, like in a top or a dress, for example, or even on like pants, you have to look inside. It's not on the normal tag that's just on the back of a top or pants. You have to look kind of at the bottom of the top, or sometimes in the leg of the pants, and you'll be able to see a label that has, you know, it goes into detail on the materials used to create the garment, and also how to wash and take care of the garment. I think that's really important. You can always cut tags, but always take a picture of the item in the tag so you know how to take care of it. But what I'm getting at here is that basically there are pros and cons to all types of fabrics. Some are not comfortable, some are not stretchy, some are really breathable and comfortable. What's, you know, important to you may not be important to the next person, but basically there are high quality pieces that are, you know, often made of things like wool, silk, cotton, or linen, and these are natural fibers. So if you want something higher quality that is made of natural fibers, I would look out for those materials. If you want something like more affordable, I guess you can say, polyester and rayon are good options for you, and those are synthetic fibers, so those are man-made. Again, what's important to you may not be important to someone else, but you know, something that might be important to you is comfort, durability, breathability, easy maintenance. It's really up to you and your budget and what you like. One of my favorite tips is charity shopping and thrift shopping. So I know this is not for everyone. I feel like I personally have found some of my favorite pieces from charity shops here in the UK. I was never into thrifting in the US, but that's also because there weren't a lot of like thrift shops where I lived. But there are ways to find these places near you. I know some people feel uncomfortable with the idea of like owning something that has been worn already because you don't know what other people's lifestyles are like. You don't know how they took care of it. As long as you wash these things, I think you can find some really amazing pieces at thrift shops. Honestly, again, I've also found some really high quality brands at charity shops, and again, they're some of my favorite pieces that I own. Make sure to, you could do your research and find some thrift shops and charity shops in your area. And another tip that some people know about, but you can also look in the ritzy, fancy areas near where you live. And there might be charity shops or thrift shops there with, again, maybe even designer or high quality, high-end pieces. It's always amazing. I always get such a thrill from charity shopping or thrift shopping because you never know what you're going to find. You don't go in thinking, I'm going to find this specific piece. It doesn't work like that. You just go in and it's kind of just luck. You either find something in your size that you love or you don't, and that's okay, but it can be really fun and almost like a challenge as well. It's super fun, so I recommend doing that. And once you get over the fact that someone else has worn it and it's a used item, you can enjoy it, I promise. If you're wearing a full face of makeup and you want to try something on, you still can. I recommend bringing, and this is kind of maybe a bit annoying, but I recommend bringing an old t-shirt or like an old towel or like a handheld towel, something that is small enough to fit in your bag that you can just simply put over your head. And I know this is going to sound super weird. If you just kind of place it over your face and head and then put the item that you're trying on over it, you won't get any makeup or stains on the top or dress or whatever you're trying on. Just cover your face with a little towel or t-shirt or something like that, or just piece of cloth, something, and then put the item that you're trying on over it and you won't get any stains on it. That's a really cool hack that I haven't had to use, but you might find yourself, again, either getting makeup stains on something or stretching the item to avoid it touching your face. You haven't purchased that item. I say respect the clothing, even if you haven't bought it. Take care of it. Again, like pick things up. Like I said, if you're trying something on, be nice and put it back. If you remember where you got it from, just be respectful overall. I feel like so many people don't know sometimes social awareness, spatial awareness, it makes the shopping experience better for you and other people around you. So just be respectful. I'm just saying sometimes people forget basic, like, decency. And then lastly, of course, as I said, definitely follow Paige, Overcoming Overspending on TikTok. She's got some great advice on this topic. I highly recommend you check out her page. She also tells her story about how when she graduated from her university, she blew through a $60,000 income in a year. She blew through that money in a year, and since then she has been learning how to manage her money better, and she is sharing that advice with all of us now. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. It was really fun to film. I don't know why it took me so long to film it. I just kind of wanted to perfect all of my notes and it took me some time, but I'm really happy with how this turned out. So I really hope that you take something from this video and that it helps you in your shopping experiences and that you're able to enjoy it. It's not stressful, and that you get to save lots of money in the process because there are so many ways to do that. So really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you get something great out of it. More fashion videos upcoming, and I will see you in the next one.